Joe, you managed to disrupt some of their set piece stuff, a couple of intercepts. How much of that did you see opportunity in, or was that players taking charge?
No, I obviously I've watched them play for a long time, and we felt that there were places that they would try to attack, and I felt that we scrambled really well and got a bit of pressure through the line on their pass receivers, which then can create a few turnovers, but obviously not quite enough of them because they kept that pressure on toward the end, and as Harry said, they were relentless.
So can I ask you two things? Just the performance of Sam Prendergast, one of the younger guys, and you probably didn't know an awful lot about. Some of the older guys obviously you knew pretty well, just what you made of his performance, and also there's such a long week, such a lot of hype about you coming back here. What was it like for you today?
Yeah, I think young Sam, I'd still be good friends with Richie Murphy. Richie was talking about him 2 years ago as a real talent, so it was no surprise to me. He's got a great short kicking game, but his long kicking game was exceptional tonight. I thought, a couple of times they got penalties, and he put us deep into our own 22, and when that's happening, it's pretty difficult because there's not a lot of oxygen there, and I guess I've seen him kick goals exceptionally well. He obviously missed that first one, which would have been normally something he'd knock over very, very easily. And when that happens to a young man, he can be put off his game a little bit, but I didn't notice that, unfortunately. He certainly still looked pretty much on his game. So playing in the Ireland system, you've always got options inside out, and so that takes a bit of the pressure off. I felt we did isolate him a few times tonight and really get some pressure on him, and he did look a little bit flustered, which is unusual for the young man that he is. He's usually very, very calm. So yeah, he's got great potential. I've got to say, I'd be a fan of Jack Crowley as well. I think Jack is a super player, and a very brave one. He's a very good defender. He's got a good long kicking game, but again, for me coming back, it was just about the team and trying to prepare this team as best I could without being too distracted by the number of catch-ups I've had during the week. I'll head home to Churchtown for a week and catch up with family and catch up with friends over the next week or so.
So how closely did your game plan mirror the one that you and Ian put into place at the
It was a little bit similar in some ways in that we had a lot less ball in Ireland, and it's just about being, we're talking a little bit about, you can't beat them with a sledgehammer. You've got to get the scalpel out, and you've got to be accurate, and that's the best way to try to open them up. And probably a disappointment is I felt we probably opened them up just enough times to get enough scoreboard separation. When you get 13-5, that's a nice separation. If we could have scored first after half time and it's our kick-off and we're kicking deep and then suddenly give up a penalty and they come closer. And so, that was probably a disappointment because I just felt if we could have built on that lead in the first 10 minutes after half time, it could have been just emphasise the pressure that Ireland were under.
One of the back, please.
Yeah, so just on being back again, good to see you again. Have you, you obviously left after the World Cup and you didn't get a chance to say goodbye to a lot of people here. Have you felt appreciated again, just going about your people being grateful?
The boys give me a hard time. We got on a plane and I'd had a selfie with these ladies, and then one of them turned around when we were all boarded and yelled out to me that there was a spare seat up next to her, and the boys thought that was hilarious, So I've copped it from them, but I felt the same warmth that I felt for 10 years here. My family were incredibly well looked after here. I think they talk about Dublin and how some kids, they stay at home forever. Ours just stayed long enough for us to leave, instead of them leaving home. So my daughter's here. I think my son will end up shifting back here with his Irish wife, and so I think we'll continue to be very much a split family with a very heavy Irish and Kiwi influence, and currently an Aussie intention to keep improving.
One
Joe,
minute.
could you just rate that performance against the other Northern Hemisphere matches that you played? I know you beat England, you played Wales 3 times, and you won those, Georgia in there as well. But could I suggest to you that was the best performance maybe of all of the ones that you guys put in, given it was at the end of the bit and you're a bit tired? And did you vote?
Yeah. I was talking to the bus driver and I said, maybe drop me off and I'll have a vote here. And I was talking to Tommy Bowe on Wednesday, and he does the breakfast TV. And so I tried to get some intel from him on who I should vote for. So I knew I shouldn't vote by the time I got that intel from Tommy. So no, I didn't vote, but yeah.
All those exams, all of that learning the national anthem.
Yeah, no, I almost fell into the national anthem today, but I stuck with Australia Fair. So yeah, it's a very good performance. I thought our second half, maybe against the All Blacks in Sydney, was probably as good as we went as well. We lost that one by 3 points as well. So when you're losing by 3 to the All Blacks and Ireland, you do feel like you're not that far away from the top table, that you can't keep building and be competitive. And from a year last year where Portugal and Georgia were the only scalps, and a number of losses in and around that, and the disappointment of missing out on the playoff stages of the World Cup. I'm heartened by where we've got to, and determined by what's in front of us.
Last one here. Some of this goes first. Sorry.
Joe, I was just going to ask, you talk about growth to come. What happens next with the squad? How much time you have in terms of, I don't know whether you'll get any sort of warm-up games together as a group, and when you talk about Super Rugby coaches, like, can you put together a kind of framework for them to help you to get where you want to get to?
No, it's a good question. I think the first flight leaves for Australia at 5 a.m. So we haven't got a lot of time, and I'm not sure how much of that time they'll be really intentional about listening to much, because I think they're going to celebrate the end of the season, 13th Test match. So we'll get together for a couple of days in January 8 to 10, and that will allow us to sign off on this year and plot our way ahead, and then we get together a week or two before the Lions arrive. So that in itself is a real challenge, but I do think we've built enough confidence and cohesion this year that we can pick it up again, late June, early July next year. And that in itself is a challenge, but it's a great challenge. That's the way I'd see it, and certainly the way the players would see it as well. That that challenge is balanced by opportunity. What a fantastic opportunity to play against the Lions. It's usually only once that you get that chance, because it's only once every 12 years. If you're James Slipper and you hang around for long enough, maybe you get a couple of shots at it. But certainly for young by comparison, Harry, just turned 25, he's probably not thinking about playing against him at 37, but you never know.
This is the last one here, please.
Joe, Ireland went in as heavy favourites, and it's a tag that has never really sat easily on Ireland's shoulders when you're expected to win games at 14 points favourites. Do you use that? Were you talking about that to your players beforehand, or are you aware of maybe how Ireland jam up what they're expected to win?
No, I don't see Ireland like that. There were times where we won 12 games in a row, and the expectation grew with each win that we had. So, in my experience, to get to world number one, and they've spent a fair bit of time there now, the expectation to win, that doesn't weigh too heavily on their shoulders. It more gives them a bit of confidence that that's the level they're capable of. Because you don't earn that without delivering very good performances. So it wasn't a focus for us. You know, we probably focused the least on our opponent that we've focused for quite some time, just because we had 2 short trainings on the back of a 12-month season and a 6-day turnaround, plus a travel across from Edinburgh. We just wanted to try to get ourselves sorted. And so, you know, I didn't even really get to talk too much about Ireland because there wasn't a lot else we could fit into the week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.